Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tearing It Up. Today we have a second time guest, which I'm always excited about because, well, especially this one, because the first time she was on was a really short, quick hitter because it was for Title IX Pitch Fest when I had all the finalists on and we just did quick episodes with them with the kind of a general overview of who they are and what they're doing. So I'm stoked to get into a little bit more, learn a little bit more about our guest today and what she's doing. And with that, we have Anna Myers of Dirty Birdy, a women's workwear company. So, like I said, if you guys didn't listen to that Title IX episode, then you get to learn all about it now. But even if you did, we're going to dig a little bit deeper today. And just in those few months, there's been so much going on with Dirty Birdy. So we'll get
Absolutely.
into all of it. But starting off, Anna, where are you while we're recording today?
Yeah, so I'm at my house right now. I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains in a little town called Scotts Valley.
I
That's
love
in
it.
Northern California, yeah. So not too far from you.
Exactly. We talked about that a little bit the first time of being neighbors, and
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple ladies recently, like in the cycling world, different kinds of cycling, but they're all around the Bay type area. And so I've been thinking about trying to do a meetup with all the guests who have been on the podcast who are in that area. So I'm like, oh, you could definitely be
Oh,
included in that,
yeah,
Anna.
fun. Yeah, I would love to.
It's
Yeah, the
like,
biking community is huge here. I mean, as you know, I think you're into mountain biking, right? This is
yep.
like mecca of mountain biking trails and it's not something I'm into only because I don't have the time, but yeah, I know there's a ton of that around here.
Yeah, I've been out there a couple times with my bike, but only went on a couple, short rides. I really wanna go and ride a little bit more there, but speaking of that, I do have your website up, and what is, playing right now, I love it, on your homepage is a video of these gals just, ripping on their bikes,
Yeah,
and so I'm assuming they're also wearing Dirty Birdy pants whilst doing
yeah,
that, kinda showing the versatility of it, which we'll get more into for sure, but,
yeah.
I guess for those who didn't listen to the first podcast and just for a reminder for anyone who did, let's get into a little bit about where this all kinda started for you and getting into making workwear apparel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So the idea for Dirty Birdie started basically out of personal need. So my husband and I bought our house back in 2020, so like peak COVID, and it was very much, or it still is, I can't say was, it still is very much a livable fixer upper. And so we pretty quickly, back then when we didn't have any kids or anything like that, we when we actually had free time, we spent a lot of our free time working on fixing up our house, working on house projects, demoing, remodeling, that type of stuff. And I was typically wearing my pretty nice like running or yoga leggings just because that's what's most comfortable for me. And that was just like my COVID uniform.
Yeah, I think so many people can
Everyone.
relate there
Yeah.
where I think as millennials, right, we're used to that wearing leggings as pants,
Mhm.
that became the thing a long time ago, but especially during those times where it was it felt so good to actually finally put a pair of pants on, and now that I work from home mostly, I have to sometimes actively, let me put on a pair of pants that button and zip, and it's like, wow, I feel like a whole
Uh-oh,
different
did I lose
human.
you?
Oh, I froze.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hi.
Sorry, I think
Where
I lost
did,
you for a second.
yes, where did you lose me at?
You were just saying that it felt really good. I think you were that's where it cut off. I think you were gonna say it felt really good to, like, find actual pants that fit well or something
Well,
like that.
to put on a pair of pants that actually button and zip made me feel like a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
different human.
Oh, totally, I know. That was just, like, the COVID era for sure. Um, so yeah, anyways, that was just what I was typically wearing when we were working on these house projects. I was crawling on my hands and knees. I was in the workshop using tools and I just ended up putting holes in almost all of my pants. And so I went online to go buy some actual, durable, good women's work pants and was just a little bit underwhelmed with what I found. I mean, there are some options out there and but what was out there just didn't seem like exactly what I wanted in terms of a good durable pant that just really kind of fit and flattered. Like, I think there's this common misconception or, um, I guess misconception's a word you could use for it, that just because you're, like, doing rough and tough stuff that maybe typically, like, guys or men would be historically doing, that you don't really care about how you look, and I
Mhm.
don't think that's true at all. I think even if you are doing some of that rough and tough stuff and getting dirty, like, you can still wanna look good, you can still wanna look cute when you're doing it, and so, yeah, that was kinda where the idea came from. I was like, "I can't be the only one that wants, really good women's work pants that fit and flatter and are comfortable and you can move in and you don't feel siloed to just the workshop or
Yeah.
just construction site or whatever." Like, I wanted pants that I could wear when we're working on a project, but then also not feel weird about, going to grab a beer in 'em afterwards or something like that. So that was where the idea came from, but, I don't have any background at all, or I guess didn't have any background in terms of how to make clothes or how to manufacture clothes or how to design clothes or fashion or any of that. And then, on the flip side, also the business side, I'm an engineer by trade. Like, I went to school for engineering, and that's what I do full time now too, because Dirty Birdie's not my full time job. So I had like zero experience. I remember in the beginning literally Googling, like, how do you make a pair of pants?
Yes. Okay, I love this, like, because well, a few things I wanna touch on really
Yeah,
quick. With one, for sure, with how you, like, look, right? It can be very different for men, for sure,
yeah,
because I think also what's in our mind of them is that is a look, right? That
yeah,
people want and maybe are even attracted to, that it's like,
yeah,
"Oh, there's that, like, blue collar guy, it like dressed like that, like that's
yeah,
what someone may want and be attracted to." And I
yeah,
think more so for women, you don't feel that way, right? Because of what the general like big norm society beauty standards are, is that that's not attractive for women to be in those kinds of clothes and feel that way or whatnot. So, yeah, you don't feel cute in that kind of stuff. And obviously, everyone has different tastes and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But generally speaking, a lot of us, yeah, don't feel like that's where we look our most or feel our most attractive is when we're in like our work wear, even though it's super could be super comfortable or it's your
yeah.
favorite thing. I know that when I wear that stuff out, I'm like, oh man, yeah, this is not the the outfit that's making me like look or feel the best as if that's what I was like looking for, you
Yeah.
know? Starting to go
Oh,
out to
for
the
sure,
bar
because I
single or
feel like when
something.
you're doing, like, really badass things where you need tough, durable pants, it's like, that's so empowering, so it's like,
Yes.
you feel really good, but it's like you
Mhm.
wanna look good and feel good and all the things anyways, so
Exactly. I feel anytime I feel like I put a pair of pants on that has a hammer loop, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm getting shit done," you know? Like, so it does make you feel good and, like, you can do
Yeah!
anything, but then I'm like, well, like I said, I don't always feel like I look like the best or most attractive, and again, it's not like that's always the goal or whatever, but when you do have those outfits or whatever that make you feel all of it in one, it is like the Goldilocks outfit. They're like, "Yes, I
Oh,
love this."
completely.
So and
Completely,
and
and I
I
think
don't think it's a bad thing to want that and to want to feel that. I think it's
no.
absolutely okay, and we all go through those times. Of course, majority of the time, I don't fucking care, like, whatever, but there's still plenty of times that I'm like, "Oh, I just like, I want to,
I
like,
wanna look
look good."
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I know, and I think there's an aspect too of, like, I remember in the very beginning, like, before Dirty Birdie was even an idea, and we were just moving in and starting to work on house projects, like, when we moved in, I didn't even know how to use a hammer, like,
Mhm.
I didn't know how to use a drill, I didn't know how to use any of the tools in the workshop, but I slowly over time started to learn, and that was super empowering, and I feel like gave me a lot of confidence, and when, I slowly started taking on projects on my own. I wasn't just, helping my husband or whatever. And when I would go to Home Depot by myself and I'd be like digging through the piles of 2x4, and I remember getting so many funny looks from these like big rough and tough guys like, what the heck is this chick doing here and what does she think she can like build with this or whatever? And it like made me embarrassed, or, like, I
Yeah.
felt really insecure or not confident because I kinda didn't really know what I was doing at that point, but I still was like, "I could do this, I got this,"
Fake it
type.
till you make it, baby.
Such an aspect of fake it till you make it, and I was like, "You know what? I want Dirty Birdie to be those pants that you pull on and be like, I can do whatever the heck I want,' or, like, just to be not one of those barriers that makes you feel insecure or incompetent
Mhm.
or not confident about what you're maybe trying to do that you don't feel like you can yet or that type of deal." So it's an aspect of, like, suiting up for the job also.
Yeah. I love it, and, again, I think that, there's a rhetoric out there to not let any of that stuff get in your mind, right? Like, whatever, you just go do it. It shouldn't matter what you look like or this or that and the other, but like I said, it's still ingrained in a lot of our minds that those thoughts come in. And so it could be a majority of the time that they're not there, but they still can creep in. So I
Yeah.
think it's again absolutely okay to feel like if you look good, feel good kind of
Yeah,
thing. It really
absolutely.
truly is a thing for a lot of people in a lot of different times. And again, I don't like so just no shame if you feel that
No.
but we just can't there is again that balance of not letting it overtake you all of the time. Like there's going to be times that you just don't feel great in your body or something for whatever reason, no matter what pair of clothes or pants
Yeah,
or whatever you're putting on, you may not feel good, so we can't let it overpower us. But
completely.
the moments I think so it's almost like if it happens, you put on those pants like, "Hell yeah, look good, feel good," like, go
Yeah.
for it, like, go with that, but don't go with the negative. You're like, "Oh, I don't feel good in these," like, you still gotta just fake it and feel good.
Yeah, totally. Or there's times when you don't care, like, there's plenty
Yep.
of times where I'm like, "I don't really care to"
Yeah, like,
I'm
it's the
like, "Well,
majority
whatever."
of the time, and I'm gonna have to wear a suit this weekend, and that is one of the times where I'm like, I just have, like, a suit off the rack, and so it
Yeah.
definitely does not fit well, and I am like, "Ugh, this is like,
Your
I
arguments
have
are
to do
bleeding.
it, so whatever," but I'm like, I can totally understand why when you put on a suit that fits well, where
Yeah,
that, like, boss lady energy comes from of like, "Oh, hell yeah,
yeah.
I feel like a CEO of, like, a
Like
corporation
boss
right now, I could
lady
go in
stuff.
and just, like, rule the world," because a power suit, yeah, is like a power suit, but when it doesn't fit good, you're like, "Well, here I am. I'm just here."
Yeah. What fun activity do you have where you get to wear a suit?
Well, it's, for our state wrestling tournament, the
Mm,
coaches are required to wear suits, in the medal matches, so
oh, got it.
we are expecting that 3 of our kids will, be medaling at state, so we have our suits packed for that.
That's
Um, by the
exciting.
time this episode is live, that will be done, so hopefully you guys will have the update that those 3 kids did medal for the 2nd time,
Yeah.
this year, but yeah, I'm like, yeah, I wanna put that power suit on, but I'm just like, "Yeah, that doesn't fit well." So,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
power
I'm
suit
sure your suit is
normally
great.
yeah, my, like, kinda daily power suit is, like, a workwear pant, honestly,
Yeah,
because like we said, you put those on and you feel, like, that confidence that you can walk into the store or even what like, the mechanics, right? And people
yeah,
aren't just gonna men aren't gonna just look at you and be like, "Oh, what does she need help with?" But they may be like, "Oh, they they might know what they're doing."
yeah, they know what they're talking about for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but, I so digging into not knowing anything about apparel design, I also
Yeah,
love these conversations because I think, again, with this podcast and a mission behind it being, like, inspiring others to go kinda chase whatever that dream is they have, even if you don't have any experience. That doesn't have to be starting a company from scratch, but that can be applying for a job that you feel like you don't have any experience in, or that promotion that maybe you feel like you're not um, totally qualified for or something, but to go do it anyways, because there's also
Yeah,
a lot of numbers out there that say how often underqual more often underqualified men apply for these jobs or positions and promotions, and then women can be twice as qualified and like even less likely to apply. So, like I said, getting it out there that you don't have to have all this experience to just try to go for the thing because you get most of your experience by learning, right? So you have to
yeah.
put yourself out there and do it. There's been plenty of ideas in my head for businesses and apparel, especially like sports bras and backpacks, where I'm like, well, I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't know how to fucking sew.
Yeah,
Um, I can
I don't
sew a butt.
either, so you're
Yeah,
good.
I can sew a button and a hole, and I can't draw. So how the hell would I make a pattern? Or when it comes to DIY around the house, I have a lot of ideas of like, oh, I'd love to like fix this up or build this or that, but I just don't fucking start. And it is
Yeah.
I'm at the tipping point where I'm like, I just have to go get a tool and a piece of wood and like glue shit together like I'm 5, and to just start doing. And you being an engineer, having maybe some sort of maybe your brain works in some kind of planning, drawing, like, whatever way. How
Yeah.
was it, though, like, trying to take that pen to paper, like, so to speak,
Yeah.
to make your first pair of pants?
Yeah, and I it's funny because when like, I've done a few local markets and stuff around Santa Cruz, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, do you make these yourself? Do you sew these?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not, I don't know." But yeah, I mean, that was a big hesitation when we first came out or when I first came up with the idea was like, I don't know what I'm doing, like, how the heck am I supposed to build a brand or a business around this when I don't know, 1, how to even, like, really make the product, and then also on the business and brand side, I don't have any experience either. But we were super fortunate that we found a kind of full service product design agency that we've been working with and partnering with, and they helped bridge that knowledge gap really well. So, and that was kind of when we first decided, like, okay, we're gonna actually go for it. Because that was a pretty hefty initial investment, but they basically help us with everything from ideation to creation. So we went to them and said, here's our idea. Here's like what I'm thinking as far as like these are kind of the different pants that I want to create. And then they had their designers like draft up some sketches, and then we gave them feedback and iterated until we were happy with the product. And then they helped us with like sourcing a factory and manufacturer, and then it was like fabric sourcing and all of that good stuff. And then sampling and fitting. It's crazy. I actually didn't realize so, like, when we first made the kind of the initial investment with them, I think the fitting was, like, half of the cost, and I was like,
Mm,
"What? That's crazy." And then the more I thought about it, it was like, "Well, duh, like, if you buy a pair of pants and they don't fit, you're gonna return it." Like, the fit is so, so
yeah.
important when it comes to clothing and pants especially, like, that's really, really hard because, I mean, it's amazing that this is the case, but women have so many different body types and body shapes, like, you really can't please everyone, and that's really
Mhm.
challenging for me even now because we get people who are like, "Oh, well, these are, like, way too high-waisted for me," but then it's like, you have other people who are like, "Oh my gosh, I love these so much. They're, like, the perfect cut and everything." So, that's been challenging to, like, start so limited because I am self-funded, like, it's basically, like, we've put all of our own money into this, and so, yeah, not having all the options for everyone yet is hard, but yeah, so that was kind of how we got started in terms of, like, actually making the product, and that whole process took about I think about 2 years. Yeah, 2
Wow.
exactly, 'cause we my husband and I were actually on our, like, delayed honeymoon when we first decided like, when we signed with, the design agency we work with, and that was in March of 2020 wait, what years? I should
Yeah,
know.
right? 26 now.
March of 2023, and we launched in March of 2025, a week after
Wow.
my first son turned 1. So, yeah, it was a 2-year process from kind of actually, like, committing to starting to work on it to launch.
And I mean, that makes sense when you think about if for those of you who are maybe in some kind of industry that know, those of you who don't, like, you can tell still when you go to a store and they put their new season out, like, months and months ahead of time. Well, it's
Yeah,
even more advanced when you have to order it. You have to order these things a year in advance because they need time
yeah,
to make it and know how much they need or want. But that's gotta be such a hard thing, like, 2 years of really, like, just waiting, right, for the initial product. I would have such a hard time of, "Okay, we have this thing coming," and just, like I said, the waiting and, the shock value, like you said, of the fitting being, like, the most expensive. But when you think about it in those circumstances, your circumstances where once that's perfected, it's just a copy, right? A copy and
mhm,
repeat. So
mhm,
it's easier after that, but that first one takes so much time. But that is where with apparel, so many people have that struggle is just being able to afford that part, and if they're
yeah,
having struggles getting it right, that it's like, well, you just can't get it right, and you have to spend more to, like, fix that sample or whatever, and I know there's been businesses out there who haven't been able to even, like, get past that
yeah,
point, or have really struggled with extending because every new item has to go through that process, right, of, like, a whole new fit and design, so
yeah,
that is why these smaller brands start out so small, and that's also been the conversation when it comes to extended sizes too, to do it right. It's
mhm,
not just adding those couple inches here or there, you need a whole new fit, really, but people can't afford to go in and, like,
do that
do
whole
it
yeah,
that way, unfortunately. Well, that's again what a lot of people say, and who knows, everyone's circumstances are different there, but, with I commend anyone who started an apparel business because it's like, yeah, just the waiting and all of the processes, I feel like I don't have patience for,
yeah,
that I
yeah,
would
the
just be like,
waiting
"Yeah, I
was
wanna
so
sew this in my
hard.
own garage."
Yeah, the waiting was super hard, and, there's a lot of thoughts that creep up, and you're like, "I'm gonna be too late, or someone's gonna beat me out,
Yes,
or whatever," and, like,
exactly.
there was so much of that that would keep me up at night, but you just kinda have to have faith and just power on, because at the end of the day, like, you can't really control what other people are gonna do or
Mhm.
what other people are gonna develop or come out with or whatever. You can only control, making sure you nail your product and what you come out with, and
And
like, I one thought that came to mind as you were
mhm,
saying, like, a lot of people don't get past the fitting stage is, like, you that I can imagine how that would be a major showstopper for people because it's like, even from that point on, you still have kind of a lot to invest in, like, that
mhm.
initial inventory and that type of thing, and so it's like, if you know you're not nailing the fit, it's like, there's no way you're gonna wanna dump your money into, like, a product that probably isn't gonna work for a lot of people, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Or the situation where, like, Wild Rye, also a Title IX, Pitch Fest winner, and we've talked about him tons of times on the podcast. Cassie was on here and shared the story of, like, their first shipment, like, being wrong. It just got shipped to them totally wrong. And
Uh,
so those things happen all the time too, where you're like,
yeah.
"Oh, no, this wasn't our fault. There was a measurement mess up somewhere that got to the factory.
Oh,
Now our entire inventory, the sizes are off or something, and you have to go in and kinda fix that." And I think they were able to, like, sell through, but, then it just becomes a problem with what people know you for or sizing, consistency, and
yeah,
and things like that. Like, so many things out of your control. As
um,
you said, though, there's so many of us out there, with so many different body types that not one thing is gonna work for everybody, so even though those intrusive thoughts can come in of like, "Oh, no," who knows what someone else has been working on for 2 years before my product launches, like, they could launch right before me, and it could be the same
mhm,
exact thing.
yeah.
It can be hard in those moments, I'm sure, to remember, like, "But it's okay," like, there's still space for me because even I have those thoughts all the time. Even just this morning, seeing a post from someone I've been following who just started a, company brand kind of organization thing, like, and within months has almost 30,000 followers and is having getting these partnerships with people that I'm like, "Man, I feel like I've been working years to try and
Yeah,
even get on their radar for a real partnership," and it takes a lot of effort to be, like, so stoked for this gal and finding her people and connecting to the people that need her, but it is also you're like, "How do I not have these thoughts of, like, well, what the fuck's
Yeah.
wrong with, like, what I'm doing or whatever," you know? And
It's
as
hard to
when
not
you
your compare yourself to others for sure.
Yes, and comparison, as they say, is the thief of joy, so it's like I have to really remind myself in those moments, like, there is space. There is plenty of space
Yeah,
for all of us, and again, that's part of this podcast and why I have, you know, women who have many of similar companies on here. I've
yeah,
had a couple nutrition gals on recently. I'm gonna have another one. I'm like, "Oh, no, is that too many, like, nutrition?" They all have serve different purposes, and people can learn different things from them, and because I want everyone out there to have the space to find their people.
yeah.
But like I said, it's as the person behind the scenes, I'm sure it's very hard for you to sit and wait for your products to come out and hope you find those people.
Well, especially, like, when kind of our target is literally half the population, I'm like
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, I could not echo you more in terms of, like, there's plenty of space for
Mhm,
all of us. Like, it's been interesting to see as we've grown a little bit and kinda gotten more visibility on social media and that kinda stuff, you start to see things creep up and, like, certain people, like, you notice or, like, other brands start doing
mhm.
something maybe the way that you've been doing it or, like, I don't know. Like, I've also started to see the kinda not so nice part of business, and it's like, "Come on, man." Like, there's plenty like,
Yeah.
in workwear when it's, like, I feel like so represented as a whole, and, like, I feel like they're like any other brands or any other women's workwear brands out there, it's like, I'm happy to see that because the more
Yeah.
options for women, the better ultimately, like, it only helps in that regard to have, more options to support women in trades or doing, work or whatever, and so, yeah, I can't echo you more in terms of, like, there's
Yes.
plenty of space for all of us.
There is, and it's, in that business aspect, it's like, I get that businesses have to be protective of what they've got, or you get protective because, again, you get initially scared that there isn't enough space, especially, I
Yeah,
think, as women and in these categories, it has always felt like there can only be one woman in the room, right? So you start to feel like, no, we're supposed to be that brand or something. But again, when you look at like men's workwear and all the options, like there's
oh
still
my
in every category gonna be like a top dog, right? Like a Patagonia, a Carhartt, whatever.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean that no one else can exist, and you can still aim to be that top person, that main person that people go for without putting others down.
yeah,
But, like I said, unfortunately, that doesn't that's our thoughts as small business owners, I think, and not really once you start to grow or
yeah,
investors, from outside come in, and that's where, again, you see a lot of companies, like, values change, and that's a conversation I had recently with someone with
yeah,
their, just outside investors and, going for the dollar only.
yeah,
Again, that's business, you gotta make money, how can you exist if you're not turning a profit? But it's really hard when the founder or the main people, did create the company off of values and want to stick to that more than reaching a new, bigger year-over-year, like, growth. Um,
yeah.
so that's like business is just fucking awful and
You're
scary.
on the wrong We're just all trying to survive out here.
Yeah. It's just like, why do we just have to beat each other? Always just be beating each other up. But, even within brands, right, there's different styles and models where it's like
Yeah,
this pant might fit you from them, but this one fits you too. It's like I have and always will have multiple pieces from multiple
yeah,
brands. Like I don't
totally.
think it's been rare that I've written an entire brand off because they don't fit me at all, except for some European, like, ski brands where a European fit is just slim,
Yeah.
and I just don't fit that, but, like, I will still try. I'm always like, "Oh, let me see how that works now,"
Yeah.
like, I still wanna support the brand, but unfortunately, that I'm like, "Yeah, it just doesn't really work for me, but I'll buy a hat or something."
Yeah, totally.
I am, curious, though, to hear a little bit about you and your husband going into business together and how that felt or, has been, like,
Yeah,
when you had this idea of, "Okay, I'm gonna go in, I am gonna make this pair of pants that I want." Um, how did that first one go with you or that conversation with him, and what were his kind of thoughts behind it, and how's it been
yeah,
working with your partner? Especially, it seems that you guys were newly-ish married and
yeah.
had one kiddo on the way, and then shortly after another, so a lot of and remodeling a house, so a lot of new things at once.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I realized a couple minutes ago that I keep saying "we" or "our" or
Yeah.
whatever, and I guess it's just you like, just him and I, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's been a journey.
Mhm.
Um, so when he's, I think, always been a little more business-minded than I have, like, he's always talked about, like, wanting to start his own thing, and I think for me, it's always been something that's kind of been this, like, idea that's floated out there, like, "Oh, yeah, it would be cool to eventually, like, start my own thing or just do something different, not have to be stuck in kinda or not stuck, I shouldn't say that, but, like, be in, like, the corporate world
Mhm.
forever." And so, when the idea for Dirty Birdie first c came to be, he was super supportive of it, and to be honest, I feel like we were super naive going into it, like, we didn't really do a ton of research or, like, market validation or anything like
I
that.
think that helps sometimes. Ignorance
Honest
is bliss.
Yes, I completely agree because even now we're like, "Man, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves
Yeah.
into," like, looking back on it. But honestly, like It's it is really challenging, like, there are very hard moments, and it's hard because it kind of infiltrates every aspect of our life now,
Mhm.
and it's, like, very hard to compartmentalize and, like, not talk about Dirty Birdie all the time or not be working on Dirty Birdie all the time, and that aspect is really challenging, but also at the same time, like, I can't imagine doing this with anybody else, like,
I love it.
it's you experience all the high highs, you experience all the low lows together with the person who's, like, literally the most important in your life, and
Mhm.
so there's nothing better, but it is really challenging, and you have to learn how to communicate really well and all like yeah, I don't know, it's a really interesting dynamic, and to your point, like, for us, like I was saying, we were literally on our honeymoon when we first decided to, like, make the initial investment with the product design agency, and at that point, it was like, "Okay, we're, like, gonna full force, like, go for this, like, there's no turning back now." Um, and then, that was let's see, like, 6 months after that, I got pregnant with our first son, and so, then he was born as we were we went through pregnancy and, like, having a newborn as we were kind of starting to ramp up on this because we were starting to prep for launch and all of that. Or I guess that was no, that was launch was, like, a year after he was born, but anyways, just, like, going through, like, trying to build all of this, like, as I'm a new mom, as we're newly married, like, it was a lot, and then we launched when my first son, Crosby, turned 1, like, it was basically 2 weeks after he turned 1, and then at that point, I was also already, like, 7 months pregnant with our second
Oh my
son, so
gosh.
yeah, it's been crazy, I'm like, did I get that timing right? But yeah, so it's been a lot to navigate for sure, and, but like I said, like, I can't imagine doing it with anyone else, like, for anyone out there, if you are gonna start a business and you want a co-founder, like, you gotta be really tight with that person.
Yeah. Well, and I think obviously, again, everyone's dynamic is different, right? It works for some people, it does not for others. But
Yeah,
I like your take on it of where what it allows you guys is complete understanding. You're going through all of this
mhm,
together, so
yeah,
it's not like he's so not involved that he just has no idea what's happening when you're trying to, explain this crisis that you're going through, and it just, like,
yeah,
isn't related. He's like, "What are you like, what's the big
yeah,
deal?" kind of thing, that you can
exactly.
relate on all those plus all the other the new things to the young children and remodeling still maybe or just new marriage, all of that, you're on the same page
Yeah,
and understanding, but then, like I said, having it infiltrate every aspect of your life, that I think that's where a lot of people might struggle too, is not being able to separate, and
mhm,
so it's, like, always business, right? There's always something and not being able to
yeah,
have that time away and time with each other where you can actually just enjoy each other, and enjoy the
mhm,
family because you're both so invested in it,
right.
but, I think that even if it's just one person who has a business, when you have your own business at all, you're it's on your brain all of the
It's constant.
time, so
Yeah.
your partner may not be your co-founder or whatnot, but being able to separate that at all, I think is difficult for a lot of people, and I'm sure it's just, like, doubly as hard when you're both,
Yeah.
like, equally involved.
Yeah, that's so true, and, like, in terms of, like, the highs and lows, like, yeah, when there are low moments, it's so true, like, I don't really have to explain why I may be, like, a super spazball because like, things hitting the fan or whatever, like, he gets it, and he's right there with me, and we're trying to figure out what's going on and how to fix it or whatever, which happens a lot, like, as I was thinking when you were telling the story about Wild Rides, like, yeah, it's just, like, a lot of being in business is just figuring out how to put out fires, like, there's
Yeah.
always going to be something that goes wrong, and so, yeah, anyway, so, yeah, it is really nice in that sense to, like, not have to, like, fight for empathy in a way,
Yeah.
like, we're kinda going through it together, he knows exactly how I'm feeling, I know exactly how he's feeling, that's really nice, and then on the, like, high end, being able to celebrate everything together is super fun also, and, like, for as exhausted as we kind of always are and, like, all the late nights and all the, like, kind of I don't really like to say sacrifice that we make, but for all the, like, sacrifices that we make, it's like it's really exciting because it's not for the sake of, like, just having to stay up late because you have a work presentation in the morning or
Mhm.
whatever. Like, it's building something together that you're proud of and that will hopefully, turn into something someday. So,
It's
yeah,
another
just
baby.
yeah, literally, I have 3 babies. It's very,
Yeah.
very
Y
much another baby.
yeah. So, going back a little bit to product, and so your first launch was March 2025, so Pitch Best, you had
Yeah,
only had the pants in hand for a few months, and that was
yeah.
just one style of pant you had at the time, right?
So, basically what happened was yeah, so we launched in March with 1 style. It was supposed to be 3, but speaking of shit hitting the fan, we had some manufacturing delays, and yeah, we launched with the carpenter pants, and then, like, 3 months later-ish, we launched with the other 2 styles, and at that point so the carpenter pants, we were, like I was so blown away by the initial launch, like, people loved the carpenter pants, we sold out pretty quickly, I think, like, within maybe 2 months or so, or at least we're super low stock and, like, low enough that we ordered another big batch of inventory, I think, like, 5 or 6 times the quantity that we had at our
Wow.
initial launch, and right around that time was when we launched the second 2 styles, I think that was around May, and they didn't do as well, to be honest, probably because we building up the hype up to our initial launch, we were really pushing the carpenter pants, that was
Mhm.
kind of all we were promoting, and then we kinda it was like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, here are, like, 2 other products that we had." But then, like, about a month after those launched, we kind of had hit the brakes on everything, 'cause you and I kinda talked about this a little
Mhm.
bit, um, uh, we got hit with a little bit of I will say there was just some legal complications that were going on with, like, the trademark process for our logo and our name. So we had to hit the brakes on everything, which was really, really stressful at the time, but honestly, looking back was maybe a little bit of a blessing in disguise because at that point I was like 37 or 38 weeks pregnant with my second son, and so we had to turn off ads. We basically stopped I stopped making social media videos, like I was doing like this whole series and I stopped doing that. I stopped posting. I was just like we kinda stopped everything, like, our website was still live and we were still making sales, but we weren't promoting anything, and that was actually really, really nice to take a little bit of a break and a little bit of
Forced break.
peace, like yeah, forced break, like, while I was so pregnant and then having my son in, like, those first couple months or, like, first month or 2, while he was so little and kinda being in that newborn stage, and then once that was all resolved, then we kinda started picking things back up and maybe, like, 2 months later or so, um, and that was actually right when Pitch Fest was happening. I think it was like, let's see, my second son was like 2 months old. So yeah, that was like kind of right when the whole Pitch Fest stuff was happening. And then I think it was about 2 months after Pitch Fest, we opened up pre-orders on the second batch of inventory, carpenter pant inventory that we had ordered. And I think we were expecting the shipment initially like the week of Christmas. And then as we were talking about just like delay after delay after delay, and they didn't end up arriving until, like, the 3rd week of January or something, so that whole process was really stressful because we had customers that had ordered their pants back in November, and
Yeah.
my gosh, they are waiting so long, and thankfully, most people were so understanding and so kind, but then, of course, you get people who are, like, not so patient, and
Yeah.
that was kinda stressful to manage, but we just tried to be as communicative as possible because at the end of the day, like, I can't make the boat go faster, I
Yeah.
can't make the inventory get here any quicker, I can't, go down to the customs office and demand my pants because they were stuck in customs for a little bit, so, yeah, we had all that inventory, basically get here the end of January, and then we had just a ton of orders to pack up from the pre-orders. Like, we actually, um it was super cool. We, like, sold out of, we're out of stock of some of the sizes and colors before we even had the pants.
Wow.
So, we actually just placed, maybe a week or 2, another order with the factory, and that's actually been one of the, like, really challenging aspects that I didn't anticipate was managing inventory,
Mm.
because it's this constant cycle of, like, you put the initial investment like, you spend the initial money for the inventory, but then you wait a couple months before you even see any of that, and then the inventory gets here, you start selling, and it's, like, just figuring out, like, the lead time and the, like, financial aspect of, like, cash flow
Mhm.
has been really challenging because it's, like, once you have the inventory and you start selling and we ramp up the ads and all of that, you build really good momentum, and then it's, like, "Okay, well, now we're out of stock."
Yeah.
Couple months, and it's, like, it's hard to keep that momentum high and, like, not have these, like, ebbs and flows and ups and downs of sales and, just, like, momentum and that type of thing.
Well,
So,
especially at your
where we what
stage,
the initial question was, but I'm sorry.
oh, no, no, you got it, but, I mean, at your stage too where you don't have, like, historical things to look on, right? Like, "Oh, our big
Yeah,
season is spring
yeah,
or
yeah,
fall or whatever," like, you're still building all that up for that information to
yeah,
try to be ahead of the game, but I'm sure it can feel like a start-stop thing, so, like, "Oh, we have all this momentum," then suddenly we're out of inventory, and it's
yeah,
gonna be, like, months before things are back, and then the demand slows down because like, people are like, "Oh, I can't get them right
yeah,
now," and then so
forget
you
about it.
lose the people, you gotta bring them back in, a
Yeah,
constant, like, battle of how do you keep the people and the momentum, like, rolling consistently. I mean, I think that at least for maybe people who are following the outdoor industry or something a little bit more have seen this cycle happening a lot through the last couple years with, COVID and whatnot, and how inventory for people has been just crazy, and
yeah.
there's still shipping and customs problems and all of that stuff going on, but for majority of the people, they don't have a clue what's going on, and like you said, they are gonna be the ones who are like, "What the fuck? Why haven't I gotten these pair of pants?
Yeah,
It's been months." They don't understand the back end at all, and they also don't want to. That's not what they're here for. They're like, "I just need pants, and I was
yeah,
trying to get 'em."
yeah,
Um, and so, like, the majority of the customers are probably gonna be people who are like well, I guess not majority, but you have those people who are not understanding of any small business at all, but you get those who just came across, want the thing, and know nothing about the business at all and what it is, so they have no empathy or understanding and whatnot, and are used to, like, Amazon or something, right? Where it's like, "Oh, no, I ordered these, I should get them," or bigger companies. So, you're always
yeah.
gonna have those people that, like, don't understand, but I guess if the majority hopefully are those that do, and it sounds like they were with this shipment that was delayed till
Yeah.
January, and then once they get the product, even those who maybe were a little upset, like, once they get it, then hopefully it's like, "Okay, it was worth the wait,"
Yeah,
right?
they must have thought it was worth it, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I found with as long as, like, you're communicating and just being honest with people, most people are really understanding because it makes them realize, like, there is a person behind every single part of the process of getting the pant made up until it arrives at the customer. Like,
Yeah.
even when there's, like, issues with the product or like, quality issues or whatever, like I'm constantly reminding myself and also hopefully other people understand that there's a human behind every
Mhm.
single part of the process from like cutting the fabric to sewing to packing the pants to applying the label to like shipping them here and then for us packing them up like I've sent people the wrong order before on accident.
Yeah.
I feel so bad, but it's like, I'm only human, like, I'm gonna make
Exactly.
mistakes, and so, yeah, it's important to remember, and I, like, think about that too when as I'm a consumer and I'm buying from other businesses or small businesses or whatever, it's like, we're all just human.
Yeah, I mean, I think to the
I'm
most
glad it's
like
not all automated yet, I'm glad there's
yeah.
humans doing these things.
Exactly. Well, I think of it as customer service, which now a lot of it is automated, and that's the most frustrating thing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, can we remember how we were all complaining and unhappy all the time? We had to speak to a customer service
Yeah.
representative, and it's like, you're losing your shit. Like, I would never want to be that person because people just berate you all the time. You're like, I have
Yeah.
no control over this. I'm just answering the phone and trying to answer your
Yeah.
question.
I'm trying to
And,
help you.
they get the brunt of the anger from people.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of it is automated, so you're even more mad once you finally
Yeah.
do get that person, but it's like, I think everyone's been through that where you have to remember, like, you're so, so mad at whatever your problem is, the reason you're calling customer service, and it is so hard to not take it out on that first person who answers the phone, like, "No, this person's just the human," and, like,
They're trying
um
to do their job.
yeah, exactly, and like you said, there's so many humans behind this and so many things out of people's control that it's like
Yeah.
they're just doing what they can do, and
Yeah.
it can be frustrating for sure,
Yeah.
whatever the issue is as the consumer, but it's like a lot of times there's just really no one person to blame anyways, and there's just nothing anyone could do because the problem it already happened, right? So now you just have to move forward.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and speaking of, like, kind of moving forward, you early on said that you're still working as an engineer. Dirty Birdie isn't your full-time job,
Mhm.
which is also something we highlight a lot here is that, like, a lot of small businesses are still scrappy and trying to get to that point where it is full-time and paying yourself or a team
Yeah.
or whatever. But what is life looking for you like right now with 2 young kids, a business, and well, I don't know if it's full-time or
Yeah,
part-time, however you're doing
yeah.
engineering, like, what is the day in the life kind of like?
Oh, man. Yeah, these days are pretty insane, to be completely honest, and my husband and I were just talking about last night that we were joking, like, these are like the good old days when our babies are little, we're, like, grinding, and I know for as crazy and sometimes hard as, like, this time can be, I know I'm gonna look back so fondly on it when I'm older, but, yeah, the days are pretty wild right now, it's pretty nonstop, I totally understand how burnout happens to so many people, it's really hard to prioritize anything other than the business and just, like, getting through the day. The days
Mhm.
are completely nonstop from, being up early with babies, and I try and cherish that time so much, like, before work and after work with my 2 little sons, because it's just that's, like I'm so go, go, go during the day that that's the one that I guess 2 times a day, that I try and kinda slow down and just, like, be really present and not think about Dirty Birdie or not think about work or whatever's going on, but, yeah, I mean, it's pretty nonstop from being up early and then working full-time I do have a full-time corporate job, so I work, 8 to 4 or 8 to 5 or whatever, 9 to 5. And then,
Wow.
from after work till basically the boys go down around 7:30 or 8, that's just doing family things, and then that's when the Dirty Birdie day begins.
Yeah, that is a
We
grind,
we
Anna.
usually, most of the time these days, we're up till 1 or 2 in the morning working on it just because that's the only dedicated hours during the day that we can. So yeah, we're definitely trying to figure out putting some systems in place, getting some help because 'cause we've realized that it's definitely not sustainable, and as
Mhm.
we continue to grow, it's just there's no way that we can do it all, and
Yeah.
that's really challenging as a business owner is relinquishing control of certain things, and, like, I was thinking about that when you were talking about, earlier in terms of, like, investors and, other people, having control over, like, making business decisions and that type of thing, like, we've tossed around the idea of, looking for outside capital, but just it gets shot down pretty quickly because same thing where, like, we don't want to give someone that control,
Mhm.
especially when like, we were talking about Dirty Birdie's our baby, like, we have put
Yeah.
so much time and energy and money into this that it's like, I can't imagine, like, giving up ultimate control over it, but at the same time, like I was saying, we are trying to, start, like, looking for outside help, and, like, we hired someone, super part-time just a couple of weeks ago, which has helped a lot, where I'm looking for someone to help with social media. We've, hired out some contractors and freelancers for stuff like email marketing, so we're trying to start putting systems in place to help clear our time up a little bit because now that we're growing too, it's like there's, like, a whole other arm of the business where it's like you have to look at, like, forward thinking in terms of,
Mhm.
like, now we just kicked off development for our next couple of products and, like, um so, yeah, anyways, there's just, like, so much going
Yeah. Well,
on.
I think that that is also hard for a lot of people, the asking for help or
Mhm.
accepting helping, especially when it's your own baby. But
Yeah.
kinda taking it back to the beginning of the conversation too, where when it came to even starting and product design, you guys had to outsource, for some help on how to do this, and I think that is super helpful for people to know and remember because if there is something that's blocking you, like, "I have no clue how to do this," like, you don't have to do it on your own, and many
Yeah.
people don't. Like, so
Yeah.
not every one of these apparel companies didn't start with someone sewing said article of clothing in their house, right?
Yeah.
Some did start that way and handmade, like, yours one of those. She was making her fleeces and skirts and all that herself by hand, but said many of them aren't, and I think that's something I personally have to remember too with things like I don't have to be the idea person. It's like graphic design, logos and things like that, like branding.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people came up with their own. They
No,
hired
yeah, we
someone to
didn't.
do that. Like,
Yeah.
a friend of mine is the first person I turn to all the time for a sticker, a shirt, anything. I'm like, "Em, I need help. Like, I want something," and, like, I have nothing concrete in my head, but I give
Yeah.
her some words and ideas, and all of a sudden she shows back up with an image, and I'm like, "That's it," you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, sometimes these other people can help you get these visions in your head actually like, onto paper or something like that, and that's okay if you don't have that creative vision, so,
Yeah.
again, like, finding the people who can help you in the areas that you're not strong in and to help bring your idea to life, because I think that also ties into the idea of, like, control and owning it all or this or that, like, you feel like
Yeah.
if you can't do it all, then it's, like, not yours or, like, not enough or something, and it's
Yeah.
very rarely is it the one person who uh, concept to creation and in hand, like, did it all, like, so those people exist, but it's not most people,
No.
so it's okay to not be able to do every single thing yourself, but also very hard, I'm sure, in those moments
Yeah.
to remember that, especially in your case where it comes to growing and you have done so many of these things yourself. But like, how do I feel like even with social media, it's hard for people to let go completely of like, oh yeah, go ahead and like run it and here's our voice,
Totally.
but like and not judge
I
whether they're hitting it
know.
or not.
Social media, I've been super protective over because that's ultimately how most people end up finding our
Yeah.
brand. It's, like, such a huge part of the identity of the brand that's that's a piece I'm like, "Okay, I'm not gonna give that one up for a little
Yeah,
while."
yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to not let your pride get in the way and recognize that, like, there are probably people out there that could do what I'm doing a lot better than I'm doing, and it's just getting over that hump of, like, okay, it might be really painful in the beginning when you're working with someone new, just because, you are it's a lot it takes a lot of time, and a lot of time it's like, "Well, I could just do this a lot faster and be done with it," but it's like, in the long run, that's so beneficial, and it has to happen because 'cause you're only one person and there's only
Yeah.
24 hours in the day, so, yeah, it's definitely a learning curve and, people talk about growing pains, and I'm sure that's a big part of it,
Yeah,
or
that
is a
and
big part of it, at least that's what we're experiencing, but
as you said, like, pride and ego, because for me, sometimes what I have is definitely that ego where if I have someone else helping me and they're doing it better, then I'm like I feel so like, "Well, why couldn't I do it?" You
I
know? Like,
know.
why how did they figure that out? Like, why couldn't I just figure that out? And, like,
Yeah,
that's just like, who cares? Like, you found the person to help you bring whatever it was to life
absolutely.
or whatnot, but this idea or feeling of, like, you have to do it all yourself, that's something I personally have to work on dropping for sure. Like, I don't have to do it all myself for it to be for what? Some story of, like, "I did it all," and then, like, killed myself in the process?
Yeah, no,
But,
totally.
so you mentioned you guys are getting into some of the design process for new product, but what is tell everyone kind of what they can find now or if there is anything, like, new to expect in the next couple months or something, even if that's just a new, like, everything inventory in stock or something of what's currently
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we still have kind of our main 3 flagship products, so the carpenter pants, and then, actually, okay, so we have the carpenter pants, the regular ones that we had initially launched with, and then we actually came out with a heavyweight version, which, was part of our second batch of inventory, which is the same pant, just slightly thicker and heavier fabric, and then we have the utility leggings for people who do still live in their COVID uniform, the
Yeah.
leggings, and then, the boot cut pants, which are kinda similar shape to a yoga pant, just a little less flare, so kinda same thing, what I was wearing in COVID, just a little bit more yoga pants and a little bit more durable and reinforced. So that's what we have right now. And then what we're working on for the next couple months, like I said, we just reordered, another big shipment of carpenter pants, so that'll be coming in a couple of months. And then for a little bit longer term, we are working on expanding our size range because right now we have extra small to extra large. But we are working on expanding to, extra, extra small to 3XL, so very excited about that. Hopefully around, like, fall timeframe, and then also fall is what we're shooting for our next, couple products. So we're also working on overalls, which I'm really excited about, and then another pair of, pants. I don't know exactly what we're gonna call them yet, but probably something a little more form-fitted, down the leg, so the carpenter pants are kind of a little baggier. Um Maybe like some type of shop pan or something like that. I don't know what we're gonna call it yet. But anyways, we're working on, overalls, another pair of pants, and then, I feel like I'm missing something. We're working on hats. Those are gonna come in hopefully like the next 2 to 3 months. We're working on some additional fabric options, maybe another color or 2 of the carpenter pants. So there's a lot going on behind the
Awesome.
scenes for sure.
I love it, it sounds great, and I've just been, like, perusing the site as we've been chatting, and everything looks great, and said the homepage had me locked in forever. That video is so good, that's, like it's just such good quality, and these ladies are just doing all the things, and I'm like, "I love this because
Right.
I've just been sitting there,
I
like, watching it on the side of, like, "Oh, what are they doing now?"
Totally. No, and I was gonna say when we were talking about that in the beginning with the mountain bikers, so it was kind of funny how that came to be. There was a it was we had this photo shoot or video shoot planned, and I was needing models, and so, like right around that time, I noticed that there was a girl that lived in Scotts Valley, like right down the road from me. So I reached out to her cold, and I was like, "Hey, I'm like Anna, the founder of Dirty Birdy. I saw that you bought a pair of pants. Thanks so much for your support. Like, any chance you want to be like a model in a photo or video shoot?" And she was like, "Sure." And I didn't know at that point that she was using them for mountain biking. But as I got to talking to her, she was like, "Yeah, these are great pants, by the way, for mountain biking." And I was like, "Really?" It's, like, not one of the things I would have thought people would buy them for. But I didn't think about, like, I mean, you probably know a lot more about this. You do know a lot more about this than I do, but, like, I didn't realize that when you're mountain biking, sometimes you're, like, off your bike digging on the trail or clearing the trail or doing stuff like that, so, like, you do
Or
kind
you're
of
just falling off your bike like me.
that too. You need, like, durable supportive pants, so she was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I love," and because they're, like, have some stretch to them, they're super flexible, she was like, "Yeah, I love wearing them mountain biking, they're my go-to pants," and that's been one of the coolest things about, or one of my favorite parts about Dirty Birdy and, like, staying close with the customers and connecting with a lot of customers is just seeing how they're using them
Mhm.
and just, like, the diverse, like, I was gonna say use cases, but I'm like, "That's my corporate job, I don't need to talk about," like,
Yeah.
the diverse ways that people use them and what
Mhm.
they need them for, so it's pretty cool. There's a
I
lot of
love it.
badass women doing some super badass things.
Absolutely, yeah, 'cause I mean, for sure, like, I can definitely see the mountain biking because it's falling off, and with the carpenter pant being a baggier fit, you can put knee pads still underneath
Yeah.
them probably, pretty
Mhm.
comfortably,
Yeah.
and from the very beginning, talking about a pant that you look good in, feel good that you're gonna, like, "Cool, I can go work and then, like, go to the bar or dinner or whatever." It's the same thing. That's the conversation you hear in a lot of outdoor industry, hiking, biking, whatever. It's like, "Oh, I can wear this pant to the bar and like, not feel like a mountain bike nerd or something." And it's like
Mhm.
that I feel very similar sometimes in my mountain bike pants or shorts that I do in some work where I'm like, "Well, it felt good on the trailer with whatever I'm doing, but now when I go into town, I definitely, like, don't feel, like, cute." Like, again, not always the goal or anything, but when you can and you feel like, "Oh, yeah, this it doesn't look like I just came from doing whatever activity." So it's just, these these translate better than some of the mountain bike pants I have where it's like, clearly I was mountain biking and
That's
just, yeah,
exactly what
probably
I was
look like a
thinking.
frumpy nerd right now, but awesome. Well, Anna, it's been so good to talk to you and catch up and get to dive, like, deeper into the Dirty Birdie story and hear about, like, what is coming and what's going on. Like I said, it's been fun to watch on social media and see how things have been going, and, yeah, like I said, just incredible to dive deeper in and learn more about what's happening in the day today, and I think that's important too for people to remember, like, the humans behind the business, right? That's where when you can just know what you're supporting is a family here, like,
Yeah.
full-time jobs, 2 little kids, plus doing this is like, hell yeah, like, I will buy that pair of pants because, like, keep grinding.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Taryn, for having me. It's been super fun to catch up, and yeah, I'm
Oh,
ex oh, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, we didn't tell the people where to actually find you,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
social media handle and website.
Yeah. So our website is heydirtybirdy.com, and same thing with social media, it's, Hey Dirty Birdie.
Awesome. Well, you guys know you can find that in the show notes. Go click on those links, check Dirty Birdie out, support these small businesses, and go find the thing that makes you like feel confident and look good and all the things that Dirty Birdie's out there to do for you.
Thanks, Taryn, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.